So hello friends, today we will be taking the discussion more further on. Last time we had talked about gummatous necrosis, and I was not having the image at that time. So I want to show you this gumma. So we said, let me show you this first image. We have done the gummatous necrosis, isn't it? Gumma formation, and we said in the gummatous necrosis, this is basically a sort of a coagulant necrosis. It is basically a coagulant necrosis, isn't it? We said it was a coagulant necrosis, and it was because of a spirochetal infection, that is Treponema pallidum, and it happened in the tertiary syphilis. Tertiary syphilis. Okay, and we said it has a center. It has a center. If you see it, it is a firm. It is firm. It is firm. It is a rubbery, and that rubbery nature was actually giving it a differentiation. It was not differentiation, actually it was differentiating it from the casus necrosis. We said in the casus necrosis we have friable and soft necrosis, isn't it? Granuloma, the casus granuloma, if you know, the casus granuloma is friable and soft. Okay, but the gumma, this is gumma. Gumma is friable, gumma is firm and gumma is rubbery. Okay, so this image you should understand. This is a tertiary syphilis case. Okay, so this is the gumma. Now, next necrosis which we will be taking is the enzymatic necrosis, or we call it enzymatic fat necrosis. Enzymatic fat necrosis. In the enzymatic fat necrosis, basically the necrosis is happening because of any enzyme mediated process. An enzyme mediated process is initiated by any stress, by any stimulus, and lead finally to a necrosis. But mostly enzymatic fat necrosis is special to some type of tissue. The tissue is adipose tissue. So it is specially seen in adipose tissue. Okay. Now, see, I want to tell you a story like this. What is happening is, like, this is the breast tissue. Breast tissue has more amount of fat globules in it. So this is a fatty tissue. The pancreas, okay, pancreas has a fatty tissue around it. Pancreas, the fat around the pancreas, isn't it, my dears? So pancreatic tissue, okay, has adipose tissue around it. That adipose tissue, when you are having any inflammatory disease of the pancreas, inflamed, and that too an acutely inflamed pancreas, what will happen? It will lead to necrosis. It will lead to necrosis of the enzymatic activity will start. Sir, what enzymatic activity will start? First, see, listen to me. You know, if you talk about the breast tissue, we had discussed in our lectures of anatomy. I had told you that breast is mostly a fat tissue. We have lobules, we have septates, in between them we have corpus ligament. And we said mostly breast is having that consistency because of that adipose tissue, isn't it? Breast is having the mass, which is a adipose tissue. Second thing, your peritoneum is having omentum. This omentum is covering, that is what I'm telling, this omentum is covering your pancreatic tissue. Now, example, if I give an example, a patient comes to me with acute pancreatitis. This is a very, it's an emergency really, life-threatening situation, acute pancreatitis. In acute pancreatitis, the patient is having, what is actually happening is, if no, it can be due to many causes. For example, I give you an obstructive scenario. I give you an obstructive scenario. What obstructive things can do this? Now see, this is the liver, and from the liver you have a CBD coming downwards, and they are joining the duodenum at a common point, and at this point also you are having the drainage of what? Pancreatic duct. Now tell me one thing, if I have any gallstone obstruction here, if I have any gallstone obstruction here, okay, what will happen? There will be regurgitation of this pancreatic, okay, isn't it? A gallstone is coming here and there can be regurgitation of the things, isn't it? Okay, or I can say the patient has consumed, he's having an excess alcohol consumption, so he's having excess alcohol consumption, he takes an excess alcohol consumption. This excess alcohol consumption will stimulate an enzyme. That enzyme is known as pancreatic lipase and phospholipase. When this enzyme is activated, you know this enzyme is lipase and it will start breaking the triglycerides of those fat cells. So that means your TGs in that fat areas will get converted to fatty acids. Okay, you will have conversion of these into this. Are we able to understand the diagram? This is from the biochemistry I have taught you. Okay, now you know extracellularly there is calcium. There is calcium, and in your preliminary, for example, or I say like this, do we remember that in the metastatic calcification or in the dystrophic calcification, we said dystrophic calcification, I have concerned about calcium, isn't it? And I said that first I have to destroy the tissue and then I have to deposit the calcium. Okay, now what is happening is, if my serum level of the calcium is less and I am getting a combination of a reaction that reaction is called saponification. In your school days, you have done saponification, production of soaps, saponification reaction. What happens is this fatty acid is combining with the calcium, and this fatty acid is coming from where? Dash. Where is this fatty acid coming from? First tell me this. Guys, where is this fatty acid coming from, by the way? Where is this fatty acid coming from? It is coming from the digestion by the pancreatic lipase and phospholipase. So what is happening is you will have a fatty acid plus calcium. This is called saponification. Saponification. This saponification is, the color is chalk white. Chalk white or yellow white deposits will be appreciated in that area of pancreatic or that area of enzymatic fat renal necrosis. I have an image for you. Can we see this pancreas? Can we see this pancreas? A huge amount of enzymatic fat necrosis has happened. Are we able to understand, guys? Is there any confusion? Now, if I talk about pancreatitis, there can be also, you can see a liquefactive necrosis. Now, sir, how is this happening? No, pancreas is itself a tissue. And right now we were discussing about the fat which was around the pancreas, the omentum, isn't it? We were talking about the omentum. So the fat which is around the pancreas, or that is also known as peripancreatic fat. Peripancreatic fat. That peripancreatic fat was giving you a fat necrosis. But the necrosis of the pancreas itself, will give you liquefactive necrosis. Will give you liquefactive necrosis. So liquefactive necrosis, pancreas, fat necrosis, the fat around the pancreas, that is the peripancreatic fat or omentum, you can say. Okay, friends, are we able to understand? So you will be appreciating this saponification reaction, and can I say it is a dystrophic calcification? Can I say dystrophic calcification is happening in saponification areas? The regions of saponification are having dystrophic calcification. You see, guys, we have learned the concept. We are very much clear about this thing. We have made the basics very strong. This is now the applicative part. Isn't it? So you will be appreciating these yellow whitish deposits. So what is present under the microscope? I think I don't have an image. Okay, let us write something about it. In the microscope, you will be appreciating the fat cells will not give you that much demarcated outlines. They won't be intense. They will be, a faded, pale sort of a thing. Okay. And there will be more amount of a granular appearance. So let me write for you. In the microscope, what you will be appreciating. In the microscope, you will be appreciating in the fat necrosis. There will be, the outlines will be faded. Outlines of the cells of fat will be faded, and they will have a granular pink appearance. Okay. And as from your basic concepts, there won't be any sort of a nuclei, and you will be appreciating, this is what you will be appreciating as a there will be some basophilic staining also. Okay, may be present, may not be present. There may be some basophilic areas, may be present or may not be present. That will tell you that actually that dystrophic calcification is happening. Okay, be able to understand. So pale outlines, absent nuclei, basophilic staining, granular pink appearance is seen under the microscope in enzymatic fat necrosis. Are we able to understand, guys? Is there any problem? So if they ask you which of the following is not seen in, which of the following does not have fat necrosis, they give you brain, they give you omentum, they give you pancreatitis, they give you breast. What is the wrong answer? Which of the following is not? Brain. Okay, very nice. Okay, brain is having liquefactive necrosis. Okay, very nice. So let us tell you something about fibrinoid necrosis. Okay, or basically sometimes some books mention this enzymatic fat necrosis under the, they mention that traumatic fat necrosis also. Traumatic fat necrosis can activate enzymes also. Okay, so like a female is playing, she's boxing. Okay, and suddenly she gets a blunt trauma. She gets a blunt trauma on her breast tissue, or she gets a blunt trauma on her abdomen. Okay, so what will happen? This is also activating your which pathway? Enzymatic fat necrosis, the pathway of phospholipase C, the saponification reaction producing soaps. Calcium plus fatty acid is equal to soap. This concept is from your 10th matriculation class. Calcium plus fatty acid is equal to soap. Are we writing in the notes, or we are looking at ourselves? Are we writing in the notes, guys? Should make a crystal clear note so that you can revise it. Important topics. Okay, so calcium plus fat, soap. So saponification is happening. So if a patient comes to you, the female is got a blunt trauma in the abdomen, she was fighting. Okay, or she, there was a fight between the two people, and they received a blow. The person received a blow in the left quadrant. Okay, left quadrant of the umbilicus. So what will happen? He will be, you should think what? No, he will be giving that depigmentation and all signs of acute pancreatitis. But what is the mechanism? If they ask you in the question, what is the mechanism? Saponification. So you can put traumatic fat necrosis, enzymatic fat necrosis. Same thing, because traumatic fat necrosis will start the process of enzymatic fat necrosis. Are we able to understand, guys? Okay. Is there any doubt? Okay, so traumatic, you should remember that it will start that, it will activate that phospholipase and all. Okay. Fibrinoid necrosis. Fibrinoid necrosis is basically, let us make a diagram for you. Fibrinoid necrosis is basically, there is no sort of a, necrosis. You said, sir, there are so many inflammatory agents coming, there are cells coming and everything. In the fibrinoid necrosis, mostly it is said that it is a acellular. It is a acellular type of necrosis. What is fibrinoid necrosis? Fibrinoid. It is an acellular type of necrosis. Okay. It occurs once you listen about this necrosis, what things should come into your brain, what organs, what tissue structures should come into your brain. Should get your brain should click what you should think about: small arteries, arterioles, venules, glomerular capillaries, valves, even myocardium. Okay, and also your subcutaneous tissue in the skin. So these are the structures you should remember. Fibrinoid necrosis is happening arteries, venules, arterioles, valve leaflets, myocardium, subcutaneous tissue, and valves. Okay, this is first the locations where the fibrinoid necrosis is happening. Okay, second thing to understand is how this is happening. Okay, what type of things you are appreciating. What is happening is, when there is any sort of immune interactions in the body between the antigen and antibody, and you understand that antigen plus antibody is equal to antigen antibody complex, or also known as immune complex. Also known as immune complex. Antigen plus antibody is called antigen antibody complex or immune complex. What will happen is, a beautiful thing will happen. Not beautiful, actually, it's a disease. There will be, once this interaction is happening between the moving antigen and antibody, both of them are mobile. What will happen is, it is a blood vessel. Now this blood vessel, they are moving and moving and moving and moving. Okay, they are moving the blood, so they will get deposited. They will get deposited. This complex, this whole complex will get deposited on wall of a blood vessel. Okay, they will get deposited on the wall of blood vessel. They will start damaging the vessel wall. Okay, how will you understand? So vessel wall will get damaged. What will happen in the wall of the vessel? There will be deposition of the plasma protein. Plasma protein will start getting leaking here. Okay, there will be leakage of the plasma protein here. Plasma protein will get leaked here, and it will get deposited in the walls, in the wall of, yeah. Any question? Yes, friends, you are writing, sir. Writing, sir. What happened? Yes. Okay, okay. So there will be deposition of this plasma protein in the vessel wall vessels. Okay, and this concept is known as fibrinoid necrosis. Most important question, can't say how much important. It's important to understand all your Henoch-Schönlein purpura, that is HSP, malignant hypertension, endocarditis, rheumatic myocarditis, Ashkoff's bodies, all these are happening because of this fibrinoid necrosis. All is happening because of this fibrinoid necrosis. Are we able to understand, guys? So fibrinoid necrosis is seen in examples: type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. This type 3 hypersensitivity reaction is also called as Henoch-Schönlein purpura or polyarteritis nodosa. Polyarteritis nodosa. Eschkoff's bodies. I always keep it saying Eschkoff. It's Eschkoff body, isn't it? But K, it's pronounced like that. It comes naturally with the accent. Eschkoff's body, basically Eschkoff's body, isn't it? Eschkoff's body, basically happening in the rheumatic heart disease, isn't it? Rheumatic fever. It happens in the rheumatic fever. Or you can have rheumatic myocarditis, rheumatic endocarditis, and malignant hypertension. Malignant hypertension. Okay. This is the fibrinoid necrosis, which you have to understand from the detailed we will be learning in the immunopathology. Okay. In the immunopathology, we have to learn this. But right now, we have to remember what fibrinoid necrosis is happening in the Eschkoff's body. Polyarteritis nodosa, Henoch-Schönlein purpura. What is Henoch? Did I write the example? No. Let me write example. This full form: Henoch-Schönlein purpura and polyarteritis. Okay, this will be seen. There will be more amount of what will be appreciating under the microscope. You will be seeing that there will be, now tell me, is it leakage of proteins or not? So can we say more pinkish texture? I have taught you in the basics of histology. Can I say more of the basic texture will be seen in pinkish, isn't it? So there will be more amount of pinkish, or I should write what? I can write more amount of eosinophilic, isn't it? Material is present in the wall of the vessels where we are seeing the damage. Okay. Are we guys able to understand? Okay. So you will have an image. I had some time back downloaded it, but it's not here. So the image was having it was having a more amount of pinkish around this wall. Okay, more amount of pinkish like this. So you can see it in your books. More amount of pinkish material seen it, because they are cutting the vessel. You are cutting this in a section, isn't it? A very minute section, and then you are looking it under the microscope. So that means you will be seeing it like this circumferentially, isn't it? It's a logic, common sense, how to orient imagination. Okay, last necrosis to discuss is not the least. It's dash necrosis, gangrenous necrosis, gangrene. Okay, gangrenous necrosis. By the way, remember, from the gynecology point of view and also from the obstetric point of view, if we are talking about the malignant hypertension, you should remember also the preeclampsia. Okay, should remember also the preeclampsia. Preeclampsia is also having. Okay, now there is also, I will be teaching you in the immune pathology. Here I want to mention that if your fibrinoid necrosis is immune vascular, if it is an immune vascular reaction, your example will be PAN. Your example will be PAN, because from the type 3 hypersensitivity reaction, what does type 3 hypersensitivity reaction says? It says immune complex is depositing. Immune complex is depositing and plasma protein is coming out, isn't it? Fibrin, isn't it? That's why we are calling it fibrinoid necrosis, because fibrin is coming out. Fibrin is a plasma protein. Okay, so that is leaking out. That's why you're calling it fibrinoid necrosis. But if they ask you, give us an example of non-immune vascular reaction. So I was telling you these two. It is immune vascular reaction. The answer will be what? PAN. If they ask you non-immune vascular reaction, the mechanism is for hypertensive, malignant hypertension and preeclampsia. preeclampsia. Remember this important concept. What they will ask you, is the layer, is the wall layer proteinaceous, basophilic, or what? You should write eosinophilic. Okay, okay guys, is it okay? A second thing, if they tell you, give us an example of, I'm recapitulating for you. If they ask you, give us an example of enzymatic fat necrosis, what will you write? Acute pancreatitis. So if you want to write enzymatic, what will you write? Acute pancreatitis. If they ask you what is an example of non-enzymatic, you should write traumatic. That is what I taught you. Traumatic. You should write traumatic. That is blunt injury to the breast or blunt injury to the abdomen. Okay, or any sort of an injury. Mostly happens blood injury. Okay, so that is the concept you have to remember. So which reaction is happening in the fat necrosis? Saponification reaction. What is the saponification? Calcium plus fatty acid. Fatty acid, where did the fatty acid come from? It came from the digestion of triglyceride by the pancreatic lipase and phospholipase. Right. And what is the appearance? Gross appearance, chalky white appearance. Okay. Under the microscope, you will see that borders are outlines have gone. They don't have any. They're pale and there is nuclei are not present. Okay. Now gangrenous necrosis happens. Gangrenous necrosis, to be very specific, is happening because of any sort of the reasons. The gangrene itself is having. There are types of gangrene. Okay, let me say like this. So you have types of gangrene. Gangrene basically happens because of. It can happen because of ischemia, or it can happen because of superinfection. It can happen because of ischemia. It can happen because of superinfection. And mostly the regions which we see the gangrenous necrosis, okay, gangrenous, let me write the spelling for you. Gangrenous necrosis. Gangrenous necrosis mostly happens in your distal extremities. Distal extremities, or it is also seen in the GI tract. And mostly will be seen, it is not that suddenly you will have ischemia and you will have gangrene. It is basically, it should take a long time. There should be a chronic ischemia to these organs to show you a gangrenous necrosis. Okay, I have an image for you for the gangrenous, and then I will be making you understand. One image is this. I had this image in my PC, so showed this to you in my second year. I don't know where this I bought this, but yeah. Okay. So see guys, let me say like this. Gangrene is, it can be a dry gangrene. It can be a wet gangrene, or it can be a gas gangrene. Dry gangrene means you have ischemia has happened. Ischemia has happened. Ischemia means the blood supply has been decreased, and that chronic blood supply, the cell was not able to adapt to that adaptation. That cellular change is not adaptation actually. The cell was not able to perform its activities, and cell turned its metabolism to anaerobic one. And when that anaerobic one was not corrected, once the anaerobic mechanism was not corrected, what will happen? The place was having, the pH of the place got peaked actually. The pH rise, slowly rising, and finally reaching a point where that pH we are not able to neutralize, and that pH is destroying, that acidic pH is destroying the cells, literally destroying the cells. And that chronic cycle of that disease is giving us a dry gangrene. That means, should I say that there will be a very nice demarcated area? This demarcated area is called, can I say it is a form of coagulative necrosis? Coagulative necrosis also happens like that. So coagulative necrosis will show you what? Dry gangrene is basically a coagulative necrosis. Dry gangrene is basically a coagulative necrosis. How will you understand guys? So coagulative necrosis, dry gangrene. Sir, then what is wet gangrene? Wet gangrene is ischemia happened and you contacted a infection which was secondary to this ischemia. That is, you contacted any sort of secondary infection. If you got any secondary infection, we call it a wet gangrene. So can I say the infection, that place will start becoming liquidy? You will have a liquidy sort of a thing. He has not shown it here. You will be having a liquidy sort of a consistency. Okay. So that is called liquefactive. So liquefactive necrosis happens in wet gangrene. So liquefactive necrosis happens in wet gangrene. I hope you remember the liquefactive necrosis. I had taught you sometimes back that liquefactive necrosis happens because of any bacterial abscess, isn't it? And I told you that neutrophils will come to this place and they will destroy it. Neutrophils will come to this place and they will destroy it and will lead to proteolysis, isn't it? They will digest everything in the tissue. They will release their lysosomal enzymes and you will be having cavitations. I taught you in the brain. Here you are having first an ischemia and then a secondary infection comes to that place. So here a secondary infection is now coming. You will be appreciating a wet gangrene. Guys, are we able to understand this concept? So this is what is important to study. Okay. So this images should be in your brain. So secondary infection and ischemia, wet gangrene. Only ischemia, coagulative necrosis, dry gangrene. Let us go to the gas gangrene. I had taught you in the microbiology that gas gangrene is caused by Clostridium welchi. Gas gangrene is caused by Clostridium welchi infection. Clostridium welchi infection. And I had shown you this image again. That's why I bring this image so that you can remember. So I had brought you this image, this gas, these crepitations, isn't it? We told that these crepitations can be listened like that paper bag, isn't it? Plastic bag, tick, 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 tick. I had said like this, isn't it? And you were laughing at that time even. So these are our, this is a gas gangrene, sorry, a gas gangrene. I was saying gas gangrenosis. So gas gangrene is basically a type of a wet gangrene which is seen with the Clostridium welchi infection because Clostridium welchi is producing gases, isn't it? It produces gases under this anaerobic environment, the subcutaneous tissue, and is giving you this gas bubble, isn't it? So it is able to produce the gas and is giving you. Are we able to understand the gas gangrene, guys? Pathology is so much tasty, isn't it? So much tasty pathology. Okay, so can we play a small little quiz and end this discussion? Yeah, can we play a small quiz in 5 minutes? Okay, I think that is worth it because that is the way we can understand. Okay, let me ask you. Okay, now tell me, necrosis specific to the fat tissue. Necrosis specific to fat. You have to type the answer fast. Necrosis specific to fat tissue. Beautiful. Dash tissue is fatty tissue, adipose tissue. It's not the answer. Necrosis specific to tissue, which type? Fat tissue. Very nice answer. Now I am telling you enzymatic fat necrosis. Enzymatic fat necrosis happens in. Can you tell me some organs where it is happening? Acute pancreatitis. In the acute, now tell me in pancreatitis, how many types of necrosis do you see? How many types of necrosis do we see in pancreas? 2. Yeah, very nice. So what we see, liquefactive necrosis in the pancreas, fat necrosis around the pancreas, that omentum. Fibrinoid necrosis is a type of type of hypersensitivity reaction. Fibrinoid necrosis is type of hypersensitivity. Beautiful answer. That's a beautiful answer. Type 3 hypersensitivity reaction. Give me 2 examples of fibrinoid necrosis. 2 examples. Beautiful answer. Malignant hypertension and Ashoff's body. Beautiful answer. That's a beautiful answer. The protein which is leaking. Can you tell me the name of one of the plasma protein which is leaking in the fibrinoid necrosis? The walls. Beautiful answer. Fibrin. Okay. So wet gangrene is different from dry gangrene in dash mechanism. Wet gangrene is different from dry gangrene in this mechanism. Beautiful answer. Secondary infection. Secondary infection. Gas gangrene is caused by dash. Gas gangrene is caused by dash. Clostridium welchi. Clostridium welchi. Is basically gas gangrene a wet gangrene or dry gangrene? Is gas gangrene a dry gangrene or wet gangrene? Beautiful answer. It's basically a wet gangrene. This should be remembered. Basically a wet gangrene. Okay, can say it's a type of a wet gangrene. Okay, you are good to go. Thank you very much for this session. I hope you have learned it very nicely. So tomorrow we will be continuing the next topic. Okay. So thank you and see you. Okay. Bye bye. I will be uploading this on the YouTube. Okay. Please read the books. Wherever you find problem, please let me know. If I don't also understand, I will search in the books and understand myself. Okay. So see you all tomorrow. Bye bye and enjoy MBBS. God bless you.